Are we ready?
Suppose.
Not hardly.
Welcome to the continued podcast adventures of Superhero Speak.
But I think many of the people that love this character and that love superheroes in general have used these stories as inspiration to say, you know what? I'm going to do something good in the world. I'm going to make a difference like my hero when I was a kid.
That is my fondest memory of it, because when you're doing comic books, you want them to affect people.
Right.
You want people to care. You want to strike emotions. And I knew that Clone Saga was striking a lot of emotions.
Can you imagine Pulp Fiction starring Goofy and Mickey Mouse?
I can totally imagine that.
I'm sure somebody's written that one
quarter
too.
pounder with cheese and France, Mickey? What? Boy ale with cheese. Yeah. I can totally.
See?
I would watch the hell out of that movie.
Yes, I gladly sacrifice that my progeny to you, almighty Marvel beast.
But Neil Adams is somewhere going, it's my time.
How do you measure success?
Hey everyone! You're listening to Superhero Speak, and I am your host Dave.
And I'm John.
I'm JD, I think.
You think?
You think?
I think so. Maybe?
Maybe? Oh, maybe.
JD.
Yeah.
Maybe. I had a question for you. Sorry, I'm interrupting. When you plan one of your books,
Yeah.
do you write a plot down?
Yeah, I write a full outline. I take because I write always the 3-act structure. So I'll have the idea of what I want, and I'll go beat by beat through the 3-act structure. I'll try to do that for the 2 or 3 main characters, and then I'll go and I'll write my outline. But my outline's like chapter 1, X happens, chapter 2, X happens, and I go through. And then it adjusts as I go along, but that's, I know my plot before I go in. I know how the book ends. Always do.
Cool. This is the first time I'm doing it with the Aeon timeline thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so far my plot goes from 170 BC to 30 years from now.
That's cool. That's my Vision Quest books did something similar to that, so I'm cool with that.
Yeah, but the Aeon timeline thing, I'm really enjoying it. I don't know, you should look at it. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So John, is that what you've been working on this week?
Yeah, actually, it is. I've got the first book basically all plotted out now, which actually I think is going to make it a hell of a lot easier to finish. Because I literally plotted stuff out almost by the hour, well, basically by the hour at certain points, and now I know exactly where everything is, what's going on behind the scenes, and the Aeon timeline thing lets you do character art or just arcs. So I have one arc with all the stuff that happened in book 1, and then another arc with a character that's behind the scenes, drops into the main book, and then drops out again. He's doing other stuff that that affects people in the main timeline. It's really cool.
That is cool.
Are we ever going to read this book?
Yes. Before
JD's 50th birthday?
Before JD gets the Pulitzer. Yeah. I'm working, I'm rededicating myself. So I've worked all this week. Actually the last week and a half, 2 weeks now on this timeline thing. I've got the software down, and now I just have to import the Word document that I have into Scrivener, and then sync Scrivener with Aeon Timeline, and then I can finish what I've got. I'll finish what I got, then go through my editor's notes and send the rest to the editor and see what happens.
Nice.
Finally. So, yes, that's what I was doing. What were you doing, JD? How many books did you finish this week?
I started writing another book this week. I'm about 9,000 words in. So, it's going pretty good.
Nice.
9,000? That sounds like a lot.
3,000 a day. So, my books typically are about 65, 70,000 words. And they're about, 250, 300 pages.
Now, you're not going to school you're not doing any other day job, right? This is it?
Oh, God, no, I'm unemployed as all hell. So, yeah.
Okay.
We did open up, we do have contact days, so we can go in 2 or 3 times a week and watch the kids weight lift. That's all we can do. So I did too. I went in today and got a lift in with a mask on. Boy, does it suck lifting with a mask, but better than dying.
Yeah. It makes me feel better because it's like if I could quit my job and just do this, I would have the book done in like 6 months.
Well, I'm full-time dad. So, I mean, that takes up the vast majority of my day. My wife is cool enough to take him after she gets off of work because she wants to spend time with him. But the majority of my days is like, Andrew, get back here. Andrew, put that down. I mean, like, Andy, sit here. We have to do schoolwork. So, I mean, like, if I get 3,000 words a day in, and I'm forcing myself to read every night now, so I'm considering that work time. So,
what you reading?
The Institute by Stephen King.
Pretty cool.
And I'm listening to Too Sweet, The History of Independent Pro Wrestling for a book club that I'm in now. So I've got an audiobook going while I'm reading. It's a little taxing, but sorry.
I can't do that. I can't read 2 books at once.
I can't read 2 books at once, but I'm trying this. Well, maybe I can listen to one nonfiction book while I'm reading a fiction book. So I'm trying this. We're going to see how it goes.
Cool.
What are you up to, Dave?
Me?
Oh, 1 second. We have 4 days left of the Harvest Moon Kickstarter. So by the time this thing comes out, we will have 2 days left on the Harvest Moon Kickstarter. So now is the time to act. Tick tock, tick tock.
Yes, you too can be killed in a really, really gratuitous fashion.
Somebody else picked up on that too. I got another person to kill. So this
nice.
I'm really glad I thought of this idea. Like, I picked up a few extra bucks just by being willing to butcher random people.
Dude, if you get enough, you can make it a mass murder.
Well, it is a mass murder, so it fits in. There's plenty of death.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Dave.
There's too much death in the world today. I'm sorry. I can't handle it.
But this is fun death.
I've actually decided to work the early days of the pandemic into my new book, and it's about vampires. So, I mean, like, vampires are dealing with this. It's not the entire book, but it's like a side thing going on as vampires and what they're doing in the pandemic.
Oh, see, I thought about that too because my books take place just a little bit in the future, and it's like, do I add the pandemic? It'll have to be like, oh yes, and remember when the vaccine came out or something like that, you know?
Well, the good news is you don't have to pay too much attention to it because nobody else is.
Yeah, no, this is true.
Do vampires get COVID-19?
No.
Ah, okay, good.
No.
Actually, they should because it's a vascular disease. It's actually a blood disease.
Yes, but their blood is purified. It's again, my vampire.
True. Yes.
Can they cure it? Is the question.
Ooh.
Spoiler.
Well,
no. But we're gonna try.
I was gonna say you could ask some of the current president's staff, but because they're vampires, but obviously.
You try.
Yes. Well, So Dave.
Me. I haven't been.
Yes. You may go, Dave.
I haven't been up to too much. My brother-in-law turned 50 on Saturday, so my niece had a party for him, and just a barbecue at the house. Nothing too fancy, and it's sad though because stuff like that's kind of bittersweet. And that's about it. Working, going to the gym, pushing myself.
That's good.
I haven't seen you personally, but your Facebook profile picture looks a lot significantly leaner.
It does. It really does.
Yeah, and that's a picture's about a month old, so.
Good on you, man.
I gained 4 pounds back. I'm really upset.
Oh, 4 pounds. JD, he's complaining about 4 pounds.
Dude, that's shit 4 pounds before we had the show tonight.
Exactly.
That's just like 4 or 5 pound swings are so normal.
I'm trying to lose 30 and I can't seem to keep it off. It's just.
I mean, let's put it this way. Since about a year ago, when I started walking, and then February is about when I joined the gym. In total, I've lost about 75 pounds. So.
Damn, dude. Awesome.
Great.
You must feel completely different.
I don't know. You'll have to touch me and tell me.
No, thank you. That's quite okay.
Well, I feel okay. I mean, it's funny because it's like I still have 30 pounds to go to get to where my doctor wants me to be, and quite a bit to go to where I want to be. So we'll see, but I'll keep going. Eventually, I'll look like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans.
But not the pics.
Oh.
Was that on the? I didn't see that in our.
I put it under social media madness since it happened on social media.
It's really not our thing to cover.
No, it's not.
Cap's magic helmet. I mean, not.
Well, you know how the line America's ass. They're now saying America's penis.
Yes.
Or a more vulgar word.
Sometimes the material just writes itself.
Didn't I just see that Who just stuck up for him? Somebody just stuck up for him.
Mark Ruffalo.
Mark Ruffalo, yeah. That's it. Yeah, comes to the rescue after Chris Evans' not safe for work leak.
Not safe for work leak. I mean, from everything, I haven't seen it. I'm not going to look for it.
Neither am I.
I guarantee if you search for it, you'll be able to still find it.
Oh yeah, those leaks never go away.
Oh yeah. It'll be on the internet forever. The internet's forever, boys and girls. Remember that.
It is.
But from what I've read, it sounds like it was an honest mistake. But I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Don't put nude pictures of yourself out there. Don't take nude pictures of yourself.
Yeah, I thought this was a generational thing, but I mean, he's my age, so I mean, like, I've never had the urge to take a nude picture of myself. Like, I don't understand it.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is it was, from when he was a first Avenger and he comes out of the capsule, and that's probably the best shape he was ever in and ever going to be in his entire life, and that maybe he was like, yeah, I got to take a picture of this.
He is freaking jacked as all hell in First Avenger.
Yeah.
There was a story about that. One of the nurses, I think, like the reaction of some of the women there was not bland.
What's her name?
Haley.
Haley Atwell.
Yeah.
She just like touched him because it's just like she was overtaken by the moment. Which, to be quite frank, his peck is very touchable. It's huge.
One day I'll have touchable pecs. Anyway, so moving on, a little more social media madness. We don't have much this week, just this one. We had talked about the bane of your existence, and I'm going to ask you, JD, have you seen New Mutants yet?
Oh God, no! I'm not going to the theater. Are you crazy?
It's not available anywhere yet. It's not on Fire Stick.
I don't have Fire Stick. We have Roku, and it is not showing up in my Amazon.
I meant people that have jailbroken Fire Sticks.
Oh, I don't do that, man. Like, I'm immediate. I mean, this is how I make money too. So I don't steal content.
Don't let.
Did I tell you guys one of my books showed up on an illegal download site before I was finished writing it?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it, but I have no idea how that's possible.
I think it's just a Trojan, to be honest. I think it's got to be just something full of viruses.
Yeah. I mean, that's so weird.
I was vanity searching and I came upon it. So, like, yeah, it's crazy.
So Google yourself. Is that the lesson?
I Google myself. Like, when you have a lot of stuff out there, you got to see what's out there,
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, like,
as long as
I was trying to find reviews and stuff like that, and I came upon it, and I was like, what? And I spelled them like, I looked at my computer, I'm like, yeah, this isn't even done. And there it was.
As long as you Google yourself in the privacy of your own bedroom. All right.
Door locked.
We had talked about how it's getting pretty bad reviews, and
No Mutants. I thought you meant my book. I was like,
the half-finished copy did not get good reviews.
Roy Mears at Mantis Comics said he saw it and he liked it. So there's one person, and then Omega Level Nerds Podcast said,
"Hey, Don.
The critics are wrong. According to Volsker and D Square, it's entertaining movie with a cool concept. Only minor complaints. It's not endgame level, but it's worth your time."
Well, what's endgame level?
Yeah, I never agreed with D Squared, so obviously I'm not going to like it.
Well, I'll tell you this: there is not a more knowledgeable X-Men fan on planet Earth. So if he says it's all right, I'm going to take his word for it.
Volsker said, I thought it was very entertaining and can't wait to watch it again.
Oh.
Wow. Interesting.
See, all the reviews I've seen from most of the people I follow, none of them really liked it, and some of them really hated it.
I think a lot of reviewers, especially online reviewers, are just like, they get hits with the cynical stuff.
No, these guys are usually on point. I mean, I wouldn't stick with somebody that was just poo-pooing everything every time it came out.
I mean, these guys are definitely the outliers. Let's not be wrong on this, but I still kind of want to see it. But I'm going to wait till it's a little more accessible.
So speaking of D Square, finally got another one of his comic book reviews published on the website this week. And John, you should check it out. He did it specifically for you.
What?
Okay, I gotta admit, I don't even know what we're talking about here. What did he review?
He reviewed. I want to make sure I get the title right before I say it. Transformers: My Little Pony: Friendship in Disguise, #1.
Oh, I forgot that was coming out.
So you have to go to our own website, John, and read his review.
Sorry, too busy Googling where I can buy it.
He's in the privacy of his own home, like we asked.
Spoiler, he liked it. So
I would assume yes.
no. So wait, but since he liked it, you won't, right?
Oh, you did say that. He's a pretty good comic reviewer, actually. Like, I think he's got a good sensibility to his reviews, and like there's a good tone to him. I enjoy reading his reviews. It'd be nice if somebody bigger picked him up, to be honest. I think he's got talent in that regard.
Well, yes, but as long as he keeps writing for us.
I didn't say leave us. I just said you others.
Oh, okay, good. Well,
man does stuff for us, and he has his own show, so we got time.
Yeah.
All
right.
They've got Spike and Grimlock. That's interesting.
On that note, here is our good friend D Square to tell you how you can be a part of Social Media Madness.
Enjoying the show? Want to be part of Social Media Madness? Make sure you are following superheroespeak.com, where you can find all of the show's social media links at the top of the page. While you're there, you can check out old episodes of the podcast as well as some other great content. Check the site often because we are posting some great comic reviews as well as comic book and movie news content every day. Make sure and follow us on Twitter at SuperheroSpeak. And while you're there, check out the rest of the Geek World All-Stars Podcast Network. You can follow them at @stars_geek. The Geek World All-Star Podcast Network include great programs such as the Pop Prison Power Podcast, Cult 45, So Wizard, Fans on Patrol, the Gorilla Brain Podcast, and of course, Superhero Speak. Search for #GWAllStars. You will not be disappointed. Now it's back to Dave and the boys on Superhero Speak.
Oh, thank you for that, Don. And again, make sure you check out some of his reviews on our website. And don't forget to check out the House of D podcast, available wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And on that note, boys and girls, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
All right. John, you're still busy trying to find where you can buy it.
I gotta find it. I can't find it. It's on Amazon. Where is it?
Well, it's IDW, so it's probably on their website.
Also, Comixology is the thing.
This is true.
Yeah. Well, I want the hard copy for that.
So we and besides, also, like, you know, I can just send you the review copies so you can at least read it. So okay, on to the news, guys. All right. So I wanna
think before you talk.
Some time ago on this very podcast, somebody had said, I believe the next big bad for Marvel is going to end up being Kang the Conqueror.
I believe we did discuss that. I can't remember which one of us said it, but it was said.
It wasn't me. It would have been one of you two.
Well, boys and girls, Jonathan Majors joins the MCU as Kang the Conqueror to be featured as the villain in Ant-Man 3.
So are you guys watching Lovecraft County? Because he's the star of Lovecraft. I would say County. Lovecraft Country.
No, but I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Man, it's a messed up show, first of all. Second of all, he's great. Like, he's tons of range of emotion, like where he's mellow at times, where he's just really settled back, and there's times he's flying off the handle. Like, he's a really good actor. So I'm excited for this casting.
How do you think, I mean, speculation's what we do here. But do you have any ideas of how they might handle Kang in our current MCU? I mean, we've introduced time travel, right? Like, it's a thing now in the MCU. They're never going to be able to get away from that fact that they created it. And Kang comes from the future in the comics. Like, is he going to be Reed Richards' son? Like, how do you think they're going to handle this?
Well, he's going to be T-powered first, right? Because they're never as powerful as they usually are. Well,
yeah, I mean, like, Kang's kind of weird in and of a sense where you don't really... He just does a lot of time travel, and he's also 5 different dudes. So, I mean, they have to figure that out, first of all. What I'm more curious about is what is his tone going to be? Like, because we thought he could be the main villain of the MCU, but the fact that he's showing up in Ant-Man 3 makes me wonder if he's going to be a little bit more comic-y, like comic as in silly. Like, and I'll be honest with you, like, from what I've seen from from our star, I haven't, like, on Lovecraft Country, nothing light, nothing, like, silly to lead me to believe that he would be good for a comedic performance. But playing off of Paul Rudd, I don't know where this is going.
So, that's actually a good question. But there's this, now, of course, initially it was announced that he was going to be in Ant-Man 3. And it said people close to the source said that he's playing Kang. And then it came out later from another source that would confirm he's playing Kang. But here's the question. Is he actually the main villain in Ant-Man 3, or is he just getting introduced somehow in that movie?
That's a good question. That actually is a really good question.
Because again, Ant-Man's the quantum realm, blah, 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 blah. Does he accidentally travel to the future and see Kang?
Is Kang a big enough guy to take on the entire MCU at this point?
Absolutely. Avengers Forever. Yeah. Avengers Forever is the template story that they could use.
So he's a Thanos level guy?
Yes. It's different than Thanos. Like, Thanos has got that, like, Hitler extermination type of vibe to him. Kang is a little bit more of a traditional supervillain, but depending on how they choose to portray him, he absolutely could be the villain of the Marvel Universe.
Right.
And it comes...
Like, they could do something where Ant-Man accidentally travels to the future, and that inspires Kang to come back and do something in Avengers 5, I guess it would be at this point.
Or maybe just Kang detects all of the temporal hanky-panky that they've been doing.
I have a hunch that because of the time travel stuff done in Endgame, it's either going to create the world that made him possible, or he's going to target that. And, like, it could be, like, whatever they did, created or erased his world, something like that. Because Kang is a character that, because, if we go official Marvel 616, all alterations in history create new timelines.
Mm-hmm.
And Kang is aware of all the timelines.
Right. Which also kind of is what they talked about in Endgame. That's what the Ancient One tries to say. Like, there's all these splinters going off.
Mm-hmm.
And that they had to return the stones to bring the splinters back in line, which, I don't know, that's still kind of timey-wimey explanation kind of thing to me. But, I don't know. It's just going to be interesting to see how they set this up.
Yeah, I don't know where they're going to go. Especially because it seemed like they're going to lean more into the multiverse stuff with Doctor Strange. Right. Like I say, my only fear is that instead of making him a player and a focus, that he's just a one-off villain for this Ant-Man movie, and I think that would be underutilizing Kang. So I hope that's not what they do.
Well, they can't. They wouldn't. I can't see them doing that. They've been so on point with everything else.
Well, they could. There's been pretty big characters that have been, utilized to one movie or a joke in the case of the Mandarin.
True. And the Mandarin's definitely a big bad if he has all the wings.
But I also think that's why they're revisiting him.
I agree. But I'm saying that they are.
Shang-Chi.
It's not like they haven't, underplayed potential villains before.
And don't we still have Adam Warlock? Don't we still have Adam Warlock out there, ready to hatch?
Adam Warlock just about hatched at the end of Guardians 2, but I think they're going to keep him on the shelf till James Gunn comes back. Yeah, and he's not a villain either, though. So
no, not at all. So it'll be interesting to see.
Maybe they bring the incursions back.
Well, I actually watched an interesting video where they had talked about the future of the MCU and what they believed the path that they were going on. They said there were two paths, and they called it the Bucky and the Rocket path. And the more grounded path was the Bucky path.
Mm-hmm.
And they felt like they kind of were trying to wrap that up with Endgame. And then the more fantastical path, the outer worldly path, was the Rocket path. And that's where they were going to go in the next phase. But with everything that happened with James Gunn being fired but then rehired, it pushed back Guardians, which then pushed back their plans for Phase 4.
And then COVID.
So, I mean, it's kind of like, so it's weird because we're getting Black Widow and the Bucky Falcon show first, which are kind of, again, still in that grounded Bucky path. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how true any of that is, but it kind of makes sense. So.
Yeah, I'm interested. This is, I It's a big move. I want to see what they do.
It is. Very much so is. Speaking of COVID, John, thank you for the segue. Wonder Woman is now pushed back to Christmas 2020.
That sucks. That's one of the few movies I'm actually really looking forward to.
Just put the damn thing on streaming.
But I think that's... I get it, but I honestly think they're looking at what these movies are making streaming-wise, and it's not... and this is a tentpole movie after... Let's face it, Justice League was a flop.
Oh, yeah.
Right? What came after Justice League?
Aquaman.
Okay,
oh, no.
Aquaman. No, Aquaman.
Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman came after Justice League.
Did Wonder Woman come after Justice League?
Pretty sure.
No, it didn't. It was before, I thought, right?
We had the Harley Quinn movie, which was kind of like.
Now I have to look it up. Okay.
On you, John.
So, you had Shazam in 2019.
Shazam, okay.
And
Justice League came out in 17. So what came out in 18?
I wish they had a list that was like in freaking order. They don't even have freaking order. Yeah, it was Justice League was 2017. Wonder Woman is 27. Wonder Woman is also 2017. Probably just a little bit earlier. And then Suicide Squad was 2016. Aquaman was 2018. Then Shazam in 2019.
Okay. So it was
and
Aquaman.
Birds of Prey in 2020.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think that's part of what Warner Brothers is looking at. Like they need a big win right now.
They do need a win. That's true.
So they would rather have this come out in the theater than hope people rent it online.
Yeah, but look at what Tenet is doing right now. Tenet made like $7 million at the box office. Was that a good movie? I mean, I've heard. It's a Nolan movie, so regardless if it was good or not, it should open to big numbers.
I've heard mixed reviews about it though.
It's got a much better score than New Mutants. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, that's probably easy.
That's the thing is no one's going to the theater right now. People, justifiably so. Most people don't feel like sitting in a movie theater right now.
Yeah.
So I mean, how long are you going to sit on these things?
That's a good question.
Yeah, you can't do that because it's a conveyor belt, right? You have to get money from one movie to start making the next one.
Let's be real. Superhero movies are widgets. You got to keep the widgets going.
Yeah.
I like that. They're widgets.
They are.
Well, they build on each other, right?
Episode title.
So if you wait like 3 years between one and the next, you kind of lose momentum, right?
It can. I mean, like, again, everything's different because of the situation we're in. But I mean, I don't know, man. I think that we're going to do this when people can come back to things. It's like, dude, even the NBA's having virtual fans. Like, and the NFL's doing socially distanced games, and we don't know how that's going to go yet. It's just, I don't know. I think it's wishful thinking at the moment. Especially in Christmas time.
Yeah. Although like the Wonder Woman, I think everybody wants this. I haven't heard anybody who says they don't want to see it or aren't looking forward to it.
That's great.
So even if it comes out next year,
and that's the whole thing too. It's like everyone liked Wonder Woman, so like this is a movie people are looking forward to. There's no question of like, do I want to see it? It's when do I get to see it?
Right.
So, well, this is kind of a win for HBO Max, and I don't think we really talked about this on the show. Maybe we did, but so HBO Max, of course, not DC Universe, has ordered season 3 of the Doom Patrol. So that show will continue on.
I haven't seen the second season yet, but I'll have to look it up.
I was going to say, are either of you watching this?
I haven't had time.
No.
And is this enough to make you sign up for HBO Max?
No.
Oh gosh, every day I get a little bit closer because we got HBO Max right now for. Remember I had that free week trial? It turned into I paid for a full month accidentally. So I mean HBO TV is really good. Like I said, I'm really enjoying Lovecraft Country right now. I just started I want to start watching The Vow when it's finished, so I can just go through it. I don't know if I'll keep it, but I mean HBO Max is something that if there's something good on, I may pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean they're getting that and Titans and.
I will say this. I want to see. I will watch the Snyder Cut.
Oh, we talked about it. We have to.
I know. But that's when that comes out. as long as they don't milk it. If they're going to put like 1 hour out a month or something crazy like that.
They're doing one a week. Like that's become the new thing. Like even Amazon Prime with The Boys, they're putting a few out at a time. They don't want people binging shows anymore.
Nope.
Yeah, because somebody mentioned that on my Facebook feed too. The problem is that if they put it all at once, people they'll get a bump in their subscribers for that month, and then it'll go back down. But if they start piecemealing it out, people sign up. They forget, they watch the last one, maybe they get interested in something else and it keeps them rolling. But they have to do that now because there's like we've talked about before, there's too many streaming services and not everybody wants to pay $130 a month for 18 different streaming services.
Right.
So they're tricking you into
It's the gym membership model, you know?
Yeah.
You sign up for the gym and most people don't ever go to the gym, but they don't ever tell you, hey, by the way, you still have a gym membership. They hope you forget. So they get your $10 to $50 a month, whatever it costs for your gym.
That's funny too, because like that's my main motivation is I'm paying for this, so I'm going to use this equipment.
Yeah, but most people aren't like that.
Yeah.
Like when I was doing judo, my master talked about how most JoJos in the country operate is like, you get people signed up, you get parents want their kids doing stuff, kids hate doing it, they stop going and they forget.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. I'm curious though, our fans, anyone listening, let us know, like, do you have HBO Max, or have you been on the fence to get HBO Max, and now that all the DC shows, with the exception of Stargirl, are going over there, is that a deciding factor to make you, get it now?
Is Swamp Thing going there too, or Swamp Thing going to CW? I forget.
Swamp Thing is going to CW, I think.
Oh, is it?
We talked about this in the show, but I can't remember what.
I don't remember either. John, what's your magic fingers say?
To CW.
Oh.
Interesting.
Cancel the DC universe, coming to the CW.
Cancel before it even started at the DC universe. That was a bad idea.
What was the bad idea? And it was like
DC universe. That was a bad idea.
Yeah. It wasn't a bad idea. It was just horribly executed. If they had put all the content they could have out on there, they have enough between that and the CW, some of the CW stuff. Some of the Warner Brothers stuff that they would have had enough content to keep people, but they didn't do that. And then they pull shit like this where it's like, there's a new excuse for why they, canceled Swamp Thing before they even showed the first episode.
Cost a lot.
Every week. Yeah. The latest excuse I keep hearing is that the cost of the sets the upkeep of the sets, because they basically built an entire swamp. And the cost of that was one of the reasons why they didn't want to do it. So, but then again, dude, you got a swamp, you could use it for other things. There's like, I hate to use a corporate term, synergies. They could have used the sets for other things and gotten their money out of it, but no, they just completely flubbed it, and now it's going to CW.
Well, at least they're resurrecting it. I mean, like, I never watched. I honestly, we didn't have it long enough, and I didn't watch it because it was canceled. So it felt like, I don't know, they don't believe in this. Why should I believe in this?
Yeah, it did kind of take I was really excited to see it, and then when you hear it's canceled, it's like, even watching the first episode, it's like, I know, but this is gone. Why am I bothering?
Right.
Even though it's really good.
Oh, that happens to me all the time.
It really was good. Yeah. And the problem with it going to CW is they're not going to have like half the budget that it was given for DC Universe.
Not only that, they can't really explore some of the adult themes.
Oh yeah.
Or
some of the more horror themes. Like,
yeah, it's going to be tricky to do teen angst in Swamp Thing.
Yeah. This is true.
I'd like to say
mostly teenagers are cannon fodder.
Right. I'd like to say you can't do a low-budget Swamp Thing TV show, but I literally have seen it. So it can be done. I don't know if it's going to be. You guys remember the Swamp Thing TV show on USA in the early 90s?
Oh, God, yeah.
Yes.
That was not.
Oh, no, it was not. It was not good at all. The only thing I liked about it was that the same dude played Swamp Thing as from the original two movies, which talk about ships and tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they even have one, like, you're saying, like, they can't explore some of the adult themes. Well, like, they actually had a scene there which was right out of John Carpenter's The Thing, with the corpse coming alive. They're not going to be able to do that in the CW.
No, probably not, unless they do it, they put it on at 2 a.m.
Yeah, put it on Adult Swim. There you go.
Oh, there you go.
They
All
could.
right.
They own it.
This is true. All right, Swamp Thing for the Old Swim. What's our new hashtag? All right. Well,
Swamp Swim.
Speaking of things that won't die, I really wasn't going to bring this up this week, but I listened to another podcast where they hadn't been talking about this topic the whole time it's been going on, and then they started talking about it this week, and I'm like, and it was interesting to listen to someone else's perspective. But the Ray Fisher war with Warner Brothers, I mean, this guy's never going to work for them again, obviously. But so apparently, again, they came out with a statement saying he wasn't cooperating with their investigators, and he came out with this statement saying, to date, the independent firm by Warner Brothers Pictures has conveniently avoided contacting key witnesses who gave damning statements to WBHR. They've also started interviews with and have since ghosted witnesses that have implicated former and current top-level executives. Others, including an implicated individual they called me to apologize, have already been interviewed. We will not let any investigator cherry-pick interviewees and best suit Warner Brothers Pictures' false narrative and scapegoating efforts. All with stories will be heard. So,
basically, DC's going to destroy DC, no matter what.
No, it's Warner. That's nothing to do with DC. This is Warner.
So here's the thing, though, like that gets me, and this is what they were talking about in the earlier podcast. Like, he keeps making these statements and saying he's got this damning stuff. He has yet to say what happened.
He can't say anything. It's an NDA.
But that's the whole thing. It's like, well, then why are you making such a big stink? Like, you kind of stop caring after a while, and it feels like, the guy who cried wolf. Because he keeps saying accountability over entertainment. Well, if accountability over entertainment, then you've got to spill the beans.
He can't do it. It's going to cost him a ton of money. Like, people sign these NDAs, and they're held super liable. Like, you see this at the highest levels of government, where people are forced to sign NDAs and can't talk about stuff that they probably should. Like, we see this a lot in pro wrestling, which when the Speaking Out movement came, we saw a lot of companies hire their own investigators to do these investigations, yet nothing comes from them, where it's the same deal, where you're not interviewing people that are making accusations. Like, they're hiring these, private investigation firms to bury them. Like, and this is, if this is what's happening with the Warner investigation, I'd buy it. Like I said, Fisher is hamstrung by what he can say. Like, the only way that he's going to get it out is if public pressure becomes, and it comes through somebody else knowing. Because he legally can't say anything.
I think it's better if he was quietly working with people that were there to put pressure on them. But this whole, going public and blah, blah. Because my issue is saying the accountability over entertainment. It's like, if you're that concerned about losing money, then you're not worried about them being accountable.
Oh, you can't. I mean, David, we're talking, it could cost him tens of millions of dollars. And he can't afford that.
Well, so?
You can't, that's what I'm saying though, is you sign these NDAs.
I don't know.
You legally can't do anything. That's why they have them signed.
Yeah.
People say, well, you should just say something. It's but they're literally against the law to break an NDA.
I don't know, because I've heard other stories where it was kind of and this is what this other show was talking about, is kind of it feels like what happened was Whedon came in, minimized Cyborg's role in the story, and apparently a big argument that they had on set was he didn't want to say booyah, and Whedon's like, well, no, that's in the script, and that's what Cyborg says, and apparently that was a big to-do between the two of them. So it sounds like, he came in saying, this is what I want the character to do, and Whedon's like, well, no, this is my movie, we're doing it this way.
But the whole tone of it was so off.
You truly, I'm sorry, you truly believe that this whole thing is because Joss Whedon wanted him to say booyah, and he didn't want to. Not just
booyah, I think
Kevin Smith came out and said he heard from the crew of Justice League that Whedon was treating them like shit, and that it was a terrible environment to work on.
Okay, that's one thing, but again, there's got to be specifics.
But you can't. That's the whole thing. You can't get specifics when people sign non-disclosure agreements. This is why they signed them. Like, this is why the Harvey Weinstein thing was. This is why the Harvey Weinstein thing went along as long as it did, until people didn't want to keep him quiet anymore, and because those were criminal investigations, that was different. This might not be a criminal investigation. But I mean, like, and I truly believe. Because this podcast listen to wants to just spitball and pretend they know things. I could pretend like I know things too. Okay. I truly believe the only reason that this is as bad as it is because something was said that should not have been said by people that look like Joss Whedon. And I can spitball that too and make things up, and I don't know what I'm talking about.
Well, you never know what you're talking about.
Rare if ever. But I mean, if we're just going to make stuff up because they think that, he just didn't want this whole thing is because Ray Fisher didn't want to say booyah. Like, that's irresponsible speculation and, quite frankly, stupid. And it minimizes whatever his gripes are that he can't say anything about.
But here's the thing too, and this is kind of what I'm getting at with the whole he keeps making a big stink, but yet he won't say what's going on. Is like, okay, let's say it is the NDA. Let's say that's why he's not saying specifically. But any other movie company is looking at the way he's acting right now. Do you think anyone's going to jump on hiring him?
Maybe, maybe not. We're living in a different world now with, in light of the Weinstein thing, where the rules have changed. Like, at the same time, look what happened with people who let's take the whole Weinstein thing. Look at it through that prism. Mm-hmm. People that didn't play ball with Harvey Weinstein didn't work again. And now we've learned how much of a shitty thing. Like someone like, Mira Sorvino, who was an Oscar winner, her career was big time stalled because of that. So, I mean, like, yes, there's legitimate concern from these studios, but at the same time, I don't think they're going to play this game like they would in the 1990s. Like, no one's hiring anybody for anything at the moment. Like, everything in the business is at a virtual standstill. So whatever happened was big enough that he's willing to not get hired in the future. And John Boyega also came out and said, and is, like, fully supporting him 100%.
Well, yeah.
So that goes again. Interesting. Who comes out and supports him right away? Like, what's going on here, man?
I don't know. That's the question.
We won't know until we won't ever know, to be honest with you, because Warner's investigation isn't going to turn up anything. So
I don't know. I think the Ray Fisher story will be told eventually on HBO Max. All right. On that note, let's move into our topic discussion of the week. We are reviewing another of the epic comic stories that we talked about not long ago. Review, whatever, discussion, whatever you want to call it. And of course, this is 1996 Kingdom Come, written by Mark Waid and beautifully illustrated by Alex Ross. So, I guess the quick synopsis of the story for those who've never read it. Sprinkle in, it's the future, which kind of feels like it's supposed to be present time now. From 1996. Sprinkle in a little bit of heroes fighting each other. The concept of good versus evil, and even when good is being good, sometimes what they're doing isn't right. All wrapped around the Book of Revelations.
Yeah.
For the theme. All right. So I know that I read this initially in I want to say 2000, 2001 is when I first read the book. John just recently read it, which shocked us all because he's the DC guy.
Hey, you can't get them all, you know? So.
And JD, you of course, read it a long time ago as well.
2004, I want to say, first time I read it.
So like, what was your initial thoughts when you first read this book? Me
or John?
You.
Oh, when I first read this book, this is the book that really got me to love comics again. And it was, like I said, I discovered it probably about 9 years after it came out, just from tooling around on the internet, and just seeing the pictures and the art from Alex Ross made me really want to pick this up. And when I read it, it really made me love comics again and love the characters. Like, for me, this book is, when people ask, what, give me starting comics, what should I read? I always recommend Kingdom Come, because it's digestible. You know, you don't need a ton of continuity or expertise to figure out what's going on.
Yeah, it is really self-contained. And like all of his depictions of the heroes and the villains are just, I mean, you can get the gist of everybody, what they're doing and what they're all about in just this book. You don't need to know anything prior. Except for maybe, that Superman's a thing and that sort of thing, and Lex Luthor. But
let's just say, if you're not familiar with the DC universe, you probably will be lost on some of this.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think they explain like who everybody is, like enough so you can follow the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It just helps to know who the general players are, because they pull out a lot of really obscure ones, and there are a lot of versions of heroes and stuff in here that just exist in this book, and that's it. I mean, beautifully illustrated is woefully inadequate to describe the, how this came out. I mean, it's quite amazing, and some of it like looks like rotoscoped photos, and I don't know, the storyline itself. Yeah, I'm not a religious guy, so but I found it interesting. I didn't take offense to it or anything. It fit in with the storyline so well, and the reasoning for how it was going about between the Spectre and the pastor, or I never thought it could be worked into a story like that before. So and to ground it with the story, ground the story with the Spectre and what's his name, the pastor, flipping through time, McCoy. Yeah. As they flip through time, forward to the point where everything's about to go to shit. And the decisions that everybody has to make, and the reason why they have to make them, and the reason why everybody got to that point, it was really well planned out.
Yes. Yeah, no, I mean, it's funny because I had always been an Alex Ross fan since 94, 95 when Marvels came out. And I have, I know I've got 3 of them. I'm not sure if I have all 4 books. For those who have never read Marvels, shame on you. Do you know, JD, is that Alex Ross's first published comic book work? Okay.
I don't know about first, but it was his big break. I think it was his first book doing his style.
Okay. That makes sense. Yes. So like, I was looking for something to read, and someone said, "Oh, you like Alex Ross? You should read Kingdom Come." So I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll go out and get it." And I mean, and John, the opposite of you, being raised a Catholic boy, I was raised
Irish Catholic, so
and still being somewhat religious, it was like, oh wow, this is fascinating, like, and it works. It strangely works. Now, of course, they're only taking a small passage from the Book of Revelations and working the whole story around it, but it still works. And there's a whole theme about making decisions and free will and all that stuff within this book that's kind of like, oh, I see what you're doing there. Yeah, I mean, I can't. No, I do have 1 or 2 little gripes with the book, but nothing major. I will say this: we had talked about New Frontier not too long ago, and I had gripes with what I felt Wonder Woman felt uneven to me, and I didn't quite get her motivation in it. It's very clear in this story, like, what her motivation is and why she gets to the point she does by the climax of the book. Like, it makes so much sense. It works perfectly, So since I already said I have 1 or 2 little gripes, we'll start with John. Is there anything about the book that you didn't like, or that you maybe were like, they could have done this differently or whatever?
I don't like to second guess something that's done so well, and especially since like the way this was written. I mean, it's not the way I would write it, but it's it's done so well in a way that I enjoy it, that, why would I try to pick it apart really? It's not as easy as Civil War to pick apart. So, no, I don't know that I would change anything. I mean, they could have even made it a little bit longer, actually, and gone into more of the reasoning, with Diana, why she became, what happened to her, maybe a little bit backstory on that, seeing as how it was a very large part of why things got to the point where, towards the ending where everything was going to hell. But other than that, no, there's nothing that I would change at all. And this is, I guess, yeah, I'll tell you one thing. This was written way before, well, actually, I don't know if was this written before, this was written before The Boys, I'm sure, I guess.
Much.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So this feels like the halfway point between the DC universe and The Boys, right? Because all of the current heroes in it, after the main heroes leave, the current heroes are sort of trending towards that,
what it is it's a reaction to the Liefeldian superheroes of the mid-90s.
Yes. Yeah. Where they, they're more driven by realistic goals and dreams and realistic scenarios. Whereas like the old style heroes are like, yes, no matter what it is, we will find a way to have nobody die. And we'll put the villain in jail where he will escape next Tuesday.
Well, no, it's asking the question, what happens when the superheroes realize, like, I have this power, so why do I really have to listen to these humans?
Yeah.
That's the whole theme of the book, really.
Right. And, it points out towards the end exactly why that's a bad idea.
Yes.
It's actually the same idea that most urban fantasy writers use, which is basically, all these elves and werewolves and everything they may and sparkly vampires may have all this power, but there are 7 billion human beings and they breed like rabbits and they have nuclear weapons. So don't piss them off. So that is like a real common theme in current urban fantasy. It's a reason why it's used as a common trope now as to why, the magical community stays hidden from humans, is because they don't want the humans to go on crusades anymore, because they no matter how much power the other side has, the humans, there's just too many of them and they have too many weapons and they're too inventive. So the same goes for this, right?
Right.
So and then of course, there's the bad guys that are always going, the only other thing that it doesn't bother me so much as it's just a point that I'd make, that Luthor is supposed to be as much of a genius, say, as Bruce Wayne, and yet he didn't see that his end game for what he was trying to accomplish would have ended about as bad as anybody would actually expect if you took it to its logical conclusion.
I'm back. My computer got unplugged. I just caught the very end of what you said, but that is Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor's arrogance derails him every time.
Yes.
True.
Luthor believes that his plans are the best, and to question his plans is inconceivable. That's his downfall.
I guess you're right. It's like it's always, he comes up with a brilliant plan, puts all the pieces on the board, gets the king in check, and then and then he just blows it.
Yeah, that's his, but it's usually his own arrogance that stops him short. And thank God, if not for his arrogance, he'd rule the world. Like I said, I lost you guys before, but I always look at this as this is a reaction to people wanting grimmer, more violent superheroes. And then it's the idea of, okay, we're back. Now we're going to do what you guys think we should.
Yes, right.
This is what you want. This is the world we'll create then. And it's then it's dealing with the normal hero, with the Batman's world, going, okay, too far.
So now that you're back,
I am back,
and this is your favorite comic, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in this comic that's ever bothered you, or anything you would change, anything you didn't like?
I really like this book a lot. If I were to change something, no.
No? Okay.
No. I really, I guess for me, it's like being a writer. I never think like I would do this differently. I just don't think like that. Like I like to read what the writer did. That's always more important to me than thinking about what I would do differently, because I don't think I could undermine Mark Waid at all. So in my mind, this is what Mark Waid and Alex Ross wanted. This is their expression of the characters, not mine. So for me, this is their work, and I'm okay with it.
I just want to read a quote from Alex Ross about the character Magog. He says, "As I remember, Mark originally told me, make him look like everything we hate in modern superhero design."
Cable.
Yeah, basically, yeah, out of Cable. And
Cable.
like Shatterstar and a few others, apparently.
So, it's interesting. Okay, so, I was gonna say, like, that's one of the things, and it's funny, one of the little things that kind of bugs me about this book is we don't spend any real time with the new heroes in the book.
Because they're not really characters.
And I get it, because this is really, like, at its core, this is a Superman story.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like when Superman, something drives him to retire, which is the death of Lois Lane, and what happens to the world when Superman leaves, and then he has to come back and fix it.
And not just that, he has to learn to take on the new mantle of a leader, right? Not just a leader of like the Justice League, but an actual world leader.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like they're dealing with, and it's funny because we talked about Superman last week a little bit, and how, like, I kind of felt the Donner movies touched on the duality between Clark and Superman, but also kind of touched on Kal-El kind of being a third character in that as well. And this book kind of touches on it too, right? When Lois died, Clark died.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? There is no more human part to him. And he wants people to call him Kal-El now, not Clark or Superman,
Mm-hmm.
But like, so I like again, that's all really well done. But in the whole beginning half of the book, cause you mentioned Magog, there's kind of feel like they're building something to him. And I was kind of hoping there would be a duality between the two characters in the book and showing why the modern heroes are the way they are through him and why Superman and the Justice League are trying, have their point of view and why they're trying to stop them. But it's like, when he finally confronts him, he's upset for having killed 1 million people, basically, and gives up,
I think that's done on purpose. I think that what Ross and Wade are trying to say is that these modern heroes have no substance, that they are all style and flash, and when you want some character out of them, it's just not there.
I guess that's what bothers me about it,
and that's a it's a commentary thing of it. Like, what I like about it is because it's a self-contained 4-issue story. If this was done today from either company, every single one of those characters would have their own spin-off in the series. You'd get the Magog series where you get him. You'd get like the Jester.
Well, and you would have, if in today's world, you would have got the fight between Superman and Magog.
Yeah. And what I like about it is it's not that story. This story is a complete rejection to comics marketing. That can only have been done in DC's prestige format of Elseworlds. And that's what I think is great about it.
Which is good, because we need stories like this. Like, you're right. Like, they try to sensationalize every one of these, like, these new comic book characters and all these storylines. And, we're, like you said, we're giving them spin-offs. This one will appear in, like, one issue of these 18 different, comics and all that. It's like, but it's like we're missing good storytelling,
this is definitely good storytelling. It's just weird to me, like that. It felt like there was such build up to this character, and then it was just like, blah, and then you don't even see him again at all in the story. That's it.
Right, because he's insignificant. Like, he's Image. Like, he's literally the representation of Image Comics. There is all this build-up of what Image was in 1995, I should say. There is all this build-up. There is all this stuff. And when it comes down to it, it's nothing.
Right, but and also the fact that Magog was a catalyst, right? Yeah. And in the end, he was still human, and he realized what he'd done. And at that point, you're not going to fight Superman, right? What you were saying before. This is a rejection of all the superhero tropes of the time, and there was none of this. Oh, I'm going to take on Superman because I'm angry, even though I just murdered all these people. It's like, no, a real person wouldn't do that.
Right.
So we're not going to force two people to fight just for the plot, right? These guys, Alex and Mark, were going by human emotions, and it's easier to follow because of that.
Ex post facto, there has been attempts to dig into Magog and the character of Gog that influenced him, and it's just nothing great ever really comes out of it. They revisited it again in Thy Kingdom Come and JSA. They did it a little bit in The Kingdom, which was exactly the exact opposite of what this story was supposed to be. And it's just, there isn't much to him because, quite frankly, there's not much to Cable.
Yeah, you're right.
How dare you?
There isn't. X-Man's interesting.
Right. The only way you get a good Cable is you put him next to Deadpool.
That's true.
He needs a foil. He's a straight man. That's all he is. And straight men do nothing unless they're next to somebody that gets a rise out of them.
Yep. Cable's just there to look cool. Like I said, it's a perfect commentary on what those guys are doing. What I like too that we talked about is how Superman drifts, how the Cal character takes over and Clark dies. At the time, we were still with the Byrne Superman origin, where Krypton is this sterile place where Jor-El and Lara didn't fall in love and have a baby. They just had their essences merged together to create Kal-El, who isn't even born on Krypton, right? That Krypton is very cold, is very sterile. And this Superman, when his human side literally dies, starts drifting to becoming that part of Krypton, like that version of what Krypton was. And he does start disassociating himself with his humanity a little bit. And it isn't until he sees Norman McKay that the Clark part of him does come back. And I like that gets ignored a little bit when people talk about that, because the Byrne Superman stuff is large, especially the Byrne Krypton stuff is largely forgotten. But this version of Kal-El definitely starts to drift back to what that was.
Right. All right. So, given that, what's your favorite moment in the book, JD?
Oh gosh, my favorite moment in the book, the Shazam part, where he keeps whispering and blasting with the lightning.
Yeah?
I love that scene. Like, it's a great use of Shazam. It's a great use of Mr. Mind. It's a great little, because again, this story is all about, parables, and this story is all about commentaries on the comic book industry. So what you have right here is the great lawsuit of 1954 come into a comic better illustrated than ever before, because Alex Ross's Shazam looks like the original Shazam.
Yeah.
Like he looks like that jacked up Fred McMurray, and his Superman is just my Superman when I think of it. And it's just, you get that battle between those two that we never really had. And it's really good. And the way that Superman beats him, it's great. I love the use of Shazam in this story. A character that gets underutilized and incorrectly utilized more often than not. But for this book, I think it works really well.
Well, John?
Well, one of the things I liked is when I turned the page to page, I guess, 115, and they showed you a picture of the Gulag, and it's the dome from
Hall of Doom.
Yeah,
yep.
It's the Hall of Doom. And that was, like, there's so many little things like that strewn throughout here that it's just like every once in a while you'll catch something. It's like, wait, this is from like the old TV series, or this is a callback to that, or you've got the picture of what is it? The wizard Shazam Ganthet from the right, and then Highfather, and I can't tell the other two. I forgot what the other two are. But it's really there's so much, and then Dead Man coming in every once in a while. But I don't know what my favorite. I don't know. The Hall of Doom was a real good callback. I guess my favorite part is actually when Superman grabbed Billy Shazam, and begged him to just do one he begged him for help. Superman had no idea what to do. Do I save the heroes? Do I let them die? Who do I save and what happens after that? And he just couldn't figure it out. And of course, one of Shazam's powers is the wisdom of Solomon. So he asks Shazam what to do. And of course, Shazam's all messed up. And then, he does the right thing. He shows Superman what he was missing because of his loss of his human side. The one thing that he had forgotten about being a hero.
The Phantom Stranger. That's the other guy you didn't identify.
The Phantom Stranger, right. There was two others. I just can't remember. But yeah, so yeah, that moment, that moment of decision and how it was handled, that was actually kind of nice.
So you both basically picked the climax of the story.
Well, yeah, but different points.
Yeah, different points on it. But that's a huge moment in the story.
Yeah, there's a couple of during the quote unquote climax. There's a couple of points. Like you could also pick the time where the what's his name, the pastor? I keep forgetting his name.
Norman McKay.
Yeah, Norman McKay. When Norman McKay finally becomes visible to Superman again as Superman's about to tear the UN down. Like that moment where he pleads with him to remember what he's supposed to be and, what could happen if he does what he's about to do, where Superman's about to take a life on purpose. That's another point that you could, I just happen to like the give and take and the I don't know, the elegance of asking Shazam, one last time, for that wisdom that only he would have at that moment.
Yeah. I think, my favorite moment, and because I flashed back to when I originally read the book, is when Bruce or Batman reveals that he's been playing Luthor the whole time.
Which is a total Batman moment.
Exactly.
Right.
It is a quintessential Batman moment of the book, and it's just like, because up until that point, I was pissed. Like, how could he work with Luthor? Like, I get they're trying to make a point about human beings and blah, blah, but it's like, come on. Like, how could he ever work with Luthor with everything Luthor's done in the comics and whatnot? And it was like, oh, he was playing him the whole time. So,
it's Batman. Yep.
Yeah, and that goes back to Luthor being so egotistical that he wouldn't have thought of that.
Right.
Because how could you not know that Batman's not playing you when you've been at odds with him for your entire life? Come on.
Because it's Luthor, man.
Exactly.
You come to Luthor, you're like, I need your help. Luthor goes, you're damn right you do. I'm Lex Luthor. I'm that smart.
That's right, exactly. Kiss the ice, dog.
Right. I mean, that's if you appeal to Luthor's ego, you can manipulate him. Superman's done it a million times.
Yeah.
Love it. Great scene.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I like too? Do you know who this Green Lantern is in this book? Do you know who the Green Lantern is?
Scott.
Yeah, it's Alan. It's Alan Scott. You can tell because he hangs out with Jade, and there's also a nice little during him and Ollie's fight. There's arrows sticking in him. The Alan Scott Green Lantern had a thing against wood.
Right. And Alan Scott was, even though this one was a living power battery, and I think his daughter was in here
too.
Jade.
Yeah.
It's interesting that some of the characters that they picked. I mean, obviously, it's also the Flash is who's the original Flash?
Jay Garrick.
It is Jay Garrick.
It's Wally, but he's wearing Jay's helmet.
Are you sure?
It's Wade. That's what Wade says. DC said it had to be Wally, but they kind of looked at it as like this Flash is the amalgamation of the Speed Force.
Okay.
But officially it's Wally.
Oh, that's especially Wally.
It was Wally. Wally was the Flash.
At that point, yes. But this is Elseworlds. It's not an in-continuity story.
It is, but Superman also has long hair when Lois dies.
I know.
Which he had in 1995.
Yes, I know, and it's so stupid.
Oh, it was stupid then. It's stupid now. But yeah, those are the little tip of the cap.
And it's like, okay, fine. He had long hair when Lois died, but he could have cut his hair 20 years into the future.
Correct. That was Mike Martz come down and said present day Superman has to have long hair.
And they had Flash 4 too. Whatever that, like the young girl in the Kid Flash derived outfit is the daughter of the adult Kid Flash, Wally West. So Aquaman 2, Donna Troy, Red Arrow, Red Robin. In the Flash, here it is.
Like one of the things you pointed at, John, was the little touches that Alex Ross puts through in this, which is what makes him such a great comic book artist, because he loves all of this stuff, and he puts all these little things in. What I find fascinating is we talked about how this is an Elseworlds, an out of continuity story. Yes, there are some, obviously, publisher dictates in this book. But how, like, there are things that have come out of this book that became continuity.
Oh, tons.
Like Red Robin, I think, is one of the best examples.
Yeah, Red Arrow, too. Speedy becomes Red Arrow for quite a bit at the toward the end of the pre-New 52 universe.
Right. I mean, it's interesting because there's quite a few DC books that have done that, where they're the Prestige or the out of continuity or whatever you want to call them stories, but they're so good that they're pieces that they end up incorporating eventually into the main continuity. Is this the first book to do? No, I guess Dark Knight and Killing Joke would be the first two that did that.
Yeah, the start of that thing. Yeah, but this one's a little different because like it's always been looked at as a possible alternate future, and like they'll do that once in a while. They'll throw in, oh yeah, remember this? Remember this? Yeah.
I mean, it's so funny too because I've seen people sit there and go, well, when are we eventually going to get to that Kingdom Come storyline? And it's just like, really?
Never. That's the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we do,
we what?
If we do reach it, we screwed up.
Yeah,
like, that's the whole idea.
Right, and it's just funny because like when they introduced Red Robin into the books, it was just like, oh, we're getting one step closer.
That's just they forgot they didn't know what to do with Tim for a while, so they put him in the Red Robin outfit.
Exactly.
Which thank God we moved away from.
You don't like that hood?
It's okay, but I mean, like it's so associated with Kingdom Come. It's like the same reason I don't want to see that Superman S ever used. It's cool looking, but it's Kingdom Come.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was neat to see it in the CW crossover.
Yeah, that was fine. In that environment, it's fine.
Yeah.
I just, like, if you bring Superman out, like, again, Thy Kingdom Come did it too. They brought the Kingdom Come Superman into continuity for a little bit. Like, I don't like people pointing at, like, saying this is the future of the DC universe. It's like, it's one of 1,000 possible futures, and it's not post-future. It's just a story.
This is true. It is just a story. It's a justice story. Was I reaching? John, you can. I can see you because you have your camera on, and you can actually stop reading and participate in the conversation.
I'm just going through all of the. I'm just going through all of the. It's just amazing. This book has all of the characters in it. So like you said, like the Ray 2, Tornado, Midnight, Starman 8. Hourman 3, just some of the callbacks are just Atom Smasher, The Wiz. It's, the whole Marvel family. There's a whole bunch of
I love that
off-books Marvel family.
It is the Atom Smasher in the bar, right? That punches the one guy.
Yep.
Tells him shut up and punches him. Like, I love that. That is a good scene.
And it is the Atom Smasher that would eventually be used in JSA. Like, it's that Atom Smasher.
Right.
Right.
It's that Roy Thomas created one, that was Nucleon. Like, it's such a good use of these characters.
Yeah, they even had a form of Guardian, like Golden Guardian 3.
Yeah.
Which was in some of the pages. It's just,
Best use of the Spectre.
Yes. Yeah. And I like that one end panel where the big three are walking out of that restaurant and they look over and there's the pastor
Norman McKay and Jim Corrigan.
McKay, yeah, and the Spectre sitting there going, "Oh, is this what this food is?" It's like trying to teach him to be human again, I guess.
See, it's weird. The Spectre character, it sounds so cool on paper, but when you try to execute it, it's very difficult because, like, it's supposed the human the Jim Corrigan character is supposed to also be in control, and he's supposed to be the human implementation of God's vengeance.
Right.
And his stories wind up being just cruelly. It's almost like an EC comic from the 50s. It's just how can we cruelly punish these criminals? right? And so like there's only so much you can do with it. So they bust him out to be like this grand force of the DC universe from time to time, and this is probably the best use of it. Although the Hal Jordan Spectre stuff is kind of cool too.
He's like the living tribunal of the Marvel universe.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Speaking of things that are birthed out of this story, one's an interesting one because we'll eventually get to see it at Christmas, live action for the first time, and that's of course the Golden Armor, Wonder Woman's Golden Armor.
Yes.
Which has been used in the comics a few times since this book, but that is when it was first introduced. The other thing is at the end of the book when they're in the cafe, and they tried to make this happen in the New 52, and I think enough people were not happy with it. It went away. Is the whole Wonder Woman Superman romance?
Oh God, that was an abortion. That was just the worst.
Now the thing is, like, it works in the story because Lois is dead and it's the future, and these are two immortal beings. But to like make it a regular in continuity, it doesn't work.
Well, no. Well, also because the New 52 regressed Diana down to this warrior chick instead of her original. She was a statesman. She was an ambassador. She was well read. She wasn't just a warrior. And
they really took like the biggest victims of New 52 continuity were definitely Wonder Woman and Superman. Like, they both lost so much in that reboot, whereas Batman remains largely unchanged.
Yeah, well, that's because what's his name?
The Flash?
No, the writer.
Oh, Scott Snyder.
Scott Snyder. He was he was given the story to write, and like he had no idea it was going to be the launch of New 52. He was just like, I just wrote a Batman story.
That's because the New 52 was not well planned.
No.
Like, there was a lot of stories at the time of how the New 52 was, people were getting asked to pitch stuff literally at the last minute. The Dan DiDio era of DC Comics is very slapdash. Like, there's not a lot of, like, widespread planning. Because remember, the whole 2 years leading up to the New 52, you had Jeff Johns' magnum opus with, like, Blackest Night into Brightest Day, and then, like, you have to flush all that away immediately.
Yep. All right. So, I'm gonna ask, we're gonna go around the room, any final thoughts, and yes or no, do you recommend this book for people who haven't read it? And we'll start with you, John, since you just read it.
Oh, wholeheartedly, I'd say read this book. This should be one of the top things you've got on your coffee table to read. And leave it there for to show it off to other people, to pass it on. Get it into their consciousness, because it's one of the best comic stories I've ever read. I can't believe like it took me till now to read it. And I don't know. I'll give this a 10.
Okay. I didn't ask you to rate it, but okay.
I'm rating it. Sorry, I'm giving it 10.
JD?
10. No, sorry. I was picking up on John's mistake. I said before, this is, when people ask about reading comics, this is always the first thing I recommend. 1, the story is digestible. 2, the art is really, because it's photorealistic, it's very easy for a civilian, we'll call them, to digest, because it looks very real. So some people have a hard time looking at, like, quote unquote cartoony art. Alex Ross's art kind of transcends that. Like, some people think it's a little stiff. I don't. But this is like, I think this is a very easy story for someone to read in an evening. And if you have a familiar passing knowledge of DC Comics in general, like all you gotta know is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. The rest I think can be filled in on its own. So yeah, this is always what I recommend. Also, first appearance of Damian in continuity, Damian Wayne.
Oh yeah, huh?
Oh yeah,
right.
I didn't even think of that.
Yes.
Interesting. Cool. Yeah. No, I would definitely recommend it. It is one of my top 10 comics of all time. Definitely. Alex Ross, you can't beat his art. Mark Waid is an amazing writer. He took the Book of Revelations and made it an interesting comic book story. What more can you say? I mean, come on now. Like, that's if you like the themes of free will, choices and all of that stuff, like, yeah. This is a surefire, and if you want to, I think it's at its core, it's a Superman story, and if you want a really good Superman story, this is definitely up there.
Might be the best.
I don't know. I don't think about that.
I don't know.
Mike,
It's kind of
Mike.
it's kind of a tie between All-Star Superman and this.
I would agree. Those are two of my top 5 Superman stories.
Cool. All right. Well, I think on that we can wrap it up. Maybe get some recommendations for our audience. John, do you have any recommendations?
I just got this.
Well, the people can't see.
We don't have a video podcast.
Do you see this? Do you see it? Yeah. No, I just got the Superman Man of Tomorrow Blu-ray. Lately there have been a few misses. Ever since like Bruce Timm's era kind of petered out. This is not one of those. This was awesome. It was really well done. It's kind of like Superman Year One. Month one. And, it was well done. Martian Manhunter's in it. So was Lobo and Parasite. And, you should see it. It's the animation is awesome. The storyline is very good. And, it was really entertaining.
Cool. All right. JD.
Still reading The Institute by Stephen King.
Okay.
I'm enjoying it. The only show I'm watching actively now is Lovecraft County. However, I did get sucked into a wormhole that I usually avoid, like YouTube shows, but my kid is going through a little bit of a Transformers kick. Uh-huh. So while looking at Transformers stuff on YouTube, I want to get the guy's name right. I found a guy who's got a Transformers series where he just breaks down everything. Chris McFeely is the guy's name, and he's got a show called Transformers The Basics. And he regurgitates all this knowledge on the various characters and continuities. We as comics fans are used to some tricky continuity. I'm a DC fan. It gets really tricky. There ain't nothing like Transformers continuity, man. Let me tell you.
Oh yeah, no. When you get towards Beast Wars, everything goes out the window.
No, dude, it gets worse when they start rebooting stuff in the 21st century.
Yeah.
Like it is hard to follow. But this guy and his just melodic Scottish brogue, I watched like 20 of them this weekend between like writing stuff, and I couldn't look away from it. Like they were so good. So I mean, if you're in the mood to learn about the Transformers, let me recommend Chris McFeely's YouTube page, and you can learn way more than you ever thought was necessary.
Cool. All right. As always, I'm going to recommend that you go to superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast every week, and of course, comic book reviews by our good friend D Square. There's a new one up that John needs to read. It's Transformers My Little Pony, Friendship in Disguise, number 1, and number 2, and issue number 2 review will be up shortly as well.
Yeah. I just found it. They're on IDW. I'm going to get like 2 copies apiece. Issues 3 and 4 aren't available yet. So
that's why we only have review for 1 and 2 at this point. Also, I'm going to recommend, if you are listening to this podcast on Wednesday or Thursday, make sure you go to Kickstarter and throw a few shekels at our good friend JD for his Harvest Moon book, and you too can be murdered by him.
5 books are available in this Kickstarter campaign. Not just 1, but 5.
Nice.
And I'm also going to recommend that you check out the Fans on Patrol podcast this week. It should be coming out on Wednesday.
Did you guest?
Because I am a guest. And we are talking about Superman the movie, and it was a very fun conversation with Montego and Tiffobot over there. And yeah, I mean, it was fun because Tiff is younger than us, and she would say stuff like, well, I don't understand why people didn't just all fly off of Krypton. So then I had to explain the history of Superman's powers and how they changed over the years. Yeah.
Yellow Sun.
What?
Yellow Sun.
Yellow Sun, yes. Red Sun versus Yellow Sun.
There's also the problem with, if Krypton was so advanced, they should have all had spaceships. Why didn't they, but that was also explained sort of post.
Yeah. So, well, yeah. We didn't get into all the details, but it was just fun to actually impart comic knowledge on a conversation about a superhero movie that not a lot of people talk about anymore. but it's probably one of the most important superhero movies of all time. So.
Definitely the most important superhero movie of all time. Some would say the best still. I don't know where I fall on what I think of it as far as a ranking goes, but it's definitely an important film and one that I love a lot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and again, I mean, my whole gist is, like, without Superman, we don't get to Endgame.
We don't get to anything, yeah. It's done.
So, all right. So
yeah, we should steal that show and do that one next week on our show, because we do it better.
Maybe. We'll think about it. I don't know. Montego might get mad at us. All right. On that note, boys and girls, as always, thanks for listening, and don't let your cape get caught in the door. Have a good week.